Hello, welcome to the Mom series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity, where I'm making black bean, I'm making beef and black bean and sweet potato chili. So this is my recipe. I'm going to be talking about multiple personality dissociative identity disorder and my experience with what I'm calling a form of integration, and a spontaneous form of integration. I'm at the end of making my chili, so I'm adding my last seasoning, which is almost a tablespoon of Concord grape jelly. I have in there almost a tablespoon of, no, I'm sorry, I have a teaspoon of, what's it called? Naturally unsweetened baking cocoa. I have a teaspoon of cocoa in there and a tablespoon almost of jelly. So I'll go through the recipe really quick, and then I'll talk about what I'm going to talk about. First of all, happy summer to everyone. Happy summer! I've only been making videos coming out saying happy summer, happy spring, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, sort of like that. But I wanted to catch up with everyone. Okay, so my recipe, excuse me, really quick, is 2 sweet potatoes, almost a pound of 80-20 ground beef, 2 celery stalks, medium, 2 medium-sized carrots, 1 medium to large yellow sweet onion, and a half of a large red sweet onion. Chop up your onion mixture and your carrots and your celery, and then 2 medium garlic cloves grated in there, with about a tablespoon of olive oil. Dustin! That's my cat yelling in the background. You might hear him. Hang on one second, I gotta check on him. Where are you caught now? The video camera? Dustin's gonna video bomb me. Every time I turn the camera on, he starts yelling. So anyway, so to my onions, carrots, celery. You hear him? Come here. Are you gonna eat your turkey? Come here. You got your turkey giblets right here. Eat up. Let me finish my video. Okay, I'm gonna ignore him yelling. If you can ignore him, he's fine. He's just yelling because it's been raining on and off all day. So to my onions, my celery, my carrots, my garlic, I waited till it was just soft, then I added my ground beef, my 80-20 ground beef. Then I drained the fat out. I cooked it until all the pink was gone, and it came up to 165-degree temperature. If you don't know how to check the temperature of meat that's ground, what I do is I take a big cup of it out and clump it all together, and then put my instant reader in it, because it can be hard to get, the temperature of, but when the pink is gone, it's 165, it's good. So to that I added 3 tablespoons of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon of sweet paprika, 3 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of basil leaves, and a couple of shakes of crushed red pepper. I mixed it all together with my meat, my carrots, my onions, my celery, my garlic. Then I cubed up 2 washed and peeled medium sweet potatoes. To the meat that was browned and the mixture and everything, I added my sweet potatoes. Then I added I cooked that for a while till my potatoes were softening, and I added 1 14-ounce or 15-ounce can of no salt diced tomatoes, and I added 2 cups of black beans that I had soaked the night before and cooked off this morning, and 1 can, which is 2 servings of collagen, all natural, 50% low sodium, fat-free chicken broth, and 1 can of water. 1 can of water, 1 can of tomatoes, 1 can of the low sodium chicken broth. The chicken broth I use when I don't use my own, and I don't have it, is 450 milligrams of sodium per cup, and there's 2 cups in a can, so that's total of sodium. I didn't use any salt, and I added to this the cocoa and and then I added my black beans, and I brought it up to a boil, and then I skimmed it, and then I let it simmer. It's been simmering for about an hour, and then I skimmed it like crazy. Then I added my beans, added some more water to about here, and then cooked it down again, and skimmed it again. And this is like, just keep a little jar and just keep skimming all your oil and your foam from your beans. And then my last thing I did was just put a little bit of chili in it. And it's done, but I'm going to taste it. I'm going to taste to see if it's what it needs. I know I have a feeling it's done. And then at the very end also I added my leaves for my celery, because I don't like to overcook those in there because it can actually make it a little bitter. Okay, it's done. That done. Okay, I'm going to put that low, leave it on simmer. When I add more water, I can. Okay, so this channel is about multiple personality, dissociative identity disorder, but every now and again I throw a freebie recipe in for fun. So I normally talk about media depictions and how the media perpetuates the myths about multiple personality or dissociative identity disorder. There's tons of places you can get information now out there. When I first started vlogging with a few other people that were vlogging on YouTube, there were just mainly some representation, artistic videos that served the purpose of cathartic reasons and also to try to explain to people what multiplicity was. And then as people got more comfortable, they came out and shared what their experience was on YouTube and all over the place. I followed media representations and tried to dispel the myths, the misconceptions, the folklore, the legends, and really talk about the history of it and what I think perpetuated the myths and the stigma of being diagnosed in, and that is what is in the media and oftentimes what very experted, popular experts in psychiatry and psychology made multiplicity and dissociative identity disorder be. I have always said I don't believe in multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder. That is not my experience the way psychiatry is explaining it. And I'm not alone thinking this. I'm not saying I did not have trauma in my background. I'm not saying I did not come through a very volatile childhood that was chaotic and scared me out of my mind. And that is the important thing right there. When a person goes through something that scares them out of their mind, they will create subconsciously whatever they need to get through that situation. So imagine if a child is having to go home every night and be scared out of their mind, or be in any situation when they're scared out of their mind. Essentially, it's off the Richter scale, post-traumatic stress disorder. And not everyone disassociates, and not everyone has to go back into therapy and keep reliving and abrogating all the feelings of every little trauma, because sometimes the persona's aspects become so ingrained in your personality because you developed with them that they make perfect sense to be there. So Trudy Chase and the Troops, who wrote When Rabbit Howls and Creature of Habit, The Journey, and also were in the movie Voices Within, Trudy coined the phrase and the troops, co-running co-consciousness, and that was always thought to be a form of integration. When I did my interview in 2009 in August, it was the first interview on healthyplace.com that they had done about being diagnosed DID, or back in the day when it was called MPD, what's like living with that. Dr. Harry Croft sat in on my interview with Gary, the host of HealthyPlace.com, and he explained what Maria and her group are doing is a form of integration, the co-running, the coexisting, the co-dwelling. Some people just spontaneously integrate, and some people, as they get older, it's just less and less switching, less and less alters, personas, aspects. And some people always remain with their system, and some people, when it happens, it's spontaneous. We don't know why. They've really kind of given up on that whole aspect of a therapist trying to integrate you, because it doesn't work. Therapists can't integrate. You can't be forced integrated. But back in the day when I was going to therapy, it was thought that all these tools could be used to get a person in a group integrating and becoming one. And it was a lot of unnecessary therapy. It was a lot of over-therapizing. And a lot of pain and suffering, because it's a lot to process. And your body does suffer from it. So I started doing videos. A lot of people started doing videos. There's tons of people doing videos. And over the years, I've always said I don't believe it's necessary to integrate. Co-running, co-consciousness is good enough for me. Well, true. However, the other mosaics only existed in my therapist's office and in my journal, and with other multiples that understood it. So that's a pretty grim existence, which can lead to a lot of struggle. So, without even really trying, I stayed out of therapy for 5 years because there was nothing left to therapize. My therapist said, everything you're dealing with now is the aftermath of being diagnosed multiple. It's nothing that has to do with the fact that you are multiple. There's no dysfunction in your behavior that, it's mostly a lot of grief, a lot of loss, a lot of physical stuff that you're going through, and your goals and changes, and it's not about multiple personality anymore. And you're not going back and reliving all that stuff and feeling the pain from the past anymore, and nobody else is either. So we started talking about closing out therapy, and I was going to go in every other week. I noticed it would be like kind of calm and everything, and then every time I would go in, I would be a little bit, the whole system group would be kind of shook up. They had to come back to me. I wouldn't feel well physically. And so we started doing phone sessions and then tapering off to where we got to where it was 5 years we hadn't seen each other face to face, and 2 years we hadn't talked on the phone. And in that, I'd say 5-year period, there were less and less mosaics actively in my life. What did happen was, during that time, when I realized I was afraid of something, I started to own it and say, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. When I was angry at someone, no matter who it was, I owned the anger. I said, I'm angry. When I was feeling betrayed, rejected, ridiculed, poo-pooed, as my family would say, trivialized, tolerated, I would express how I felt. And I wouldn't put it on another altar. I wouldn't say, well, even if somebody else said to me, I know it's not you, that must have been Tony, because you don't do this. I would say, no, I did. That's me. That's me. If I was feeling shy and scared and kind of young, I would allow those emotions to be there, and I would own them. I would say, I feel fragile right now. I feel raw. I feel very tender. I feel childlike. I think I need to just go sit in a sand pile and draw in the sand, or go find a swing set and swing a little bit. And I'm not going to put that off on a young altar. I feel like I need to do that. When I said, you know what, it's interesting. I think I want to study the Book of Mormon. I want to study it. I think I want to study more on Judaism. I want to study it. I think I want to study all the major faiths. I want to study the Quran. I want to study Buddhism. I want to study this stuff. I want to learn all of it. And not compartmentalize it off to alters and personas. When I started to say, I think I want to eat Asian today, I want Asian. I want Italian food. I want German. I want Jewish food. When I started to incorporate all these things and just own it, say, I want it, and not put it on to other personas, alters, that I was always told, well, they were this custom, so it made sense that I was doing this or that. I really began to feel more enriched. Now, I don't believe that I'm more complete, because I don't believe I was incomplete without that, but I just believe it's a more enriched life. And I have not had any activity from a large portion of the Mosaic group, other than 5 of the Mosaics remain. So I finally went back to my doctor last week, and I told him I'm experiencing what people would say is a merge, fusion, kind of integration, or some people call a reabsorption of yourself or a person's parts, aspects. And we talked about it, and excuse me, Dustin, what? Stop, I'm on. He thinks I'm talking to him, I think. What's the matter, honey? What do you want? He wants my chili, I think. It's gonna rain any minute, thunder and lightning. You're okay? Let me get him some turkey. I'll keep talking in the background. I'm gonna get him some more turkey because he's looking at his turkey dish. Alright, let's get rid of that one. Sometimes it's a little warm in here, and his food, if I leave it out, he won't eat that, even though it's really good, and I have to give him fresh. So, 1 little tablespoon for you. That's all, Dustin. You don't need to gain weight, sweetie. I don't want you to be a fatty. Good boy, drink your water. You're thirsty. It's a little warm in here, because I know I got the oven on. I'm going to turn the air on. Okay. There you go. There we go. Alright. So a little something extra for Dustin. So, when I went to see my therapist, I said, hey, I think I've got this. It was really weird going back there, and I'd already said the test will be if I get there and all of a sudden somebody pops out talking to him that, I haven't seen or heard or been around or anything for the past 5 years. And I was kind of worried about that. I was very nervous going, and didn't happen. What did happen was I told him I was writing my book, and I wanted to get a lot of stuff that I had stored with him over the years, over almost 30 years. All of the Mosaics had given him journals, paintings, portraits, sketches, writings. Some had written him independent, and it was never shared with me. Like, so-and-so wrote a letter to me about this or that. Or I received some correspondence from, I think he may have said, like, so-and-so wrote to me, but maybe not shared the information with me. There were, he said, I know you're here for your stuff. I said, you still have it, because I thought after 30 years, it's got to be gone. And he had it, which I'm grateful for. And he had like 3 overstuffed manila piles of stuff. And I just looked at it, I was like, is that all me? Like, yeah. I only took 1/4 of one pile to look at. I just want to look at some drawings, paintings, some journal work, some letters right now. And he was skimming it all, and he didn't want to overwhelm me with a lot. And some of the pictures that I opened up and looked at that were sketched by others, what I felt was like an octopus. I felt the urge to, as he was going through the files, I felt I was recognizing things, but I didn't know why. Like, oh, that's mine. Oh, I want that. And at one point, I felt like an octopus that wanted to grab all of me and bring it back to me. And I said, I don't want to overwhelm you, so I'll just give you this much at first. But I think he had to skim through a lot of it. And he's going to listen to a tape before he gets to me. I really, when I was first looking at things, I was like, gosh, I didn't draw that. Well, no, I didn't. Another person in my group did. And I really had to sit with it for a while. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember. I remember that. I remember this. So I just thought I would share that with everyone that although I do believe there's aspects of multiple personality or dissociative identity disorder that is iatrogenic, which comes from treating it, I don't believe it's deliberate or that doctors maliciously say, I'm going to create other personalities and false memories that happen to you. I mean, I think there's some unshady people that have done that for profit, sure. But I don't believe the majority of doctors do that. I believe they allow the others to exist in their office, and by getting to know them and allowing them to live and be who they are there, the more they do. Because like I said before, you only exist in your therapist's office or with people that have accepted you. So, and for a while, I want to say too, for a while I remember therapy was, well, if you just ignore them, they'll go away. If you just, if your family just, when another persona aspect, personality comes out, or they think, if they just continue to call you by your name and not acknowledge that person, they'll go away. They don't. It usually causes more unhealth within the system group. So I just really felt that the 5 years of me being alone with the Mosaics and honoring their existence and getting to know them on a more personal level on my own without therapy really helped them all to merge with me. And I don't feel the same. I feel like a different person. I feel like, when we were talking about this, like an upgrade has been made to me, where I'm a different version, Maria. And one of my kids recently was saying, oh, Mom, you didn't, that must be this one doing that or whatever. And I was like, no, that's me. That's me. I'm perfectly aware of yelling at you. I'm perfectly well aware of raising my voice. And I'm perfectly aware of the language I used. I used it. I felt it. I expressed it. So it really is an ownership of your whole self and your feelings and your emotions. And even if that means owning the shame and the pain that you may have felt from abuse of the past, or really feeling angry at, there's been a new surgence of I'm angry at some people in my family, and it's okay. I don't feel the need to I forgive them, but I'm still cautious of them. And some of them will never know what they did wrong. And that's okay. And others do know what they did wrong, and they're searching for some kind of absolution by being nice to me or paying me off or whatever. And I don't mean large amounts of money. I just mean little giftings. And allowing me into their life and checking in. And it's been so interesting to get back with family on Facebook and to see how a lot of times biological family will follow you around Facebook but not really interact with you. And you know who the people are that really want to be in your life and who don't. And I've just become much more wiser to that now. The 5 that remain are Astrid, Tony, Taya, and Jade, and myself. So 6 total, but it kind of makes sense to me that they would still be around. If that, probably won't make sense to everyone, but it does to me, and we get along fine, and I think they enrich my life, and it's So when people used to write me and say, why doesn't your doctor try to get your numbers down? I always saw integration as a death, but it's not. It's more life. It really is. It's more fullness of life with fluidity of experience and not having to just have pieces and parts of the experience, but the whole experience. So it's been pretty good. And I wanted to share that with you. And the other day when I was trying to share that, I was saying, if things are going on with you and you're going and behaviors going on that you don't understand, and it's being attributed to personalities within your system, which you know don't act that way, get your thyroid checked. And I was saying this because from the late 70s, I've been hyperthyroid, and it was never treated until last year. And it really does change your behavior. And a lot of the behavior that I was doing, be like my hand shaking and my heart galloping and not being able to breathe and ending up in the hospital for panic attacks, when I was like, but I wasn't nervous about nothing. My heart going a mile a minute, my blood pressure going really high and then really low. A lot of that really is your thyroid. Being overheated and then really cold, or being really exhausted and then full of energy. A lot of that can be your thyroid. So I was saying on a thread, get it checked before you adhere to a lifelong label of stigma and mental health and everything else, and rearrange your life and the lives of your family and everyone else suffers. Make sure you get your thyroid checked. And along came somebody who's also has diagnoses and does blogging about D.I.D. And she said, so are you saying you were never D.I.D.? That you found the problem? Your problem was your thyroid? And I kind of wanted to laugh out loud, but I was like, okay. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying look at the whole body, the whole situation. Look at everything. Don't pin everything on multiplicity. And I have a whole chapter of that in my book. So hopefully I'll get all my stuff added to my book, and then I'll get it uploaded. And it's I've gone through self-publishing, so I'm just adding pictures in now and doing that, and not doing it on my computer because I can't work it on my computer, so it takes a little time to go to someone else's computer and do it, but it's getting done. So I want to say hi to everybody and tell you where I'm at, and send love and wishes for good health to everyone. And I'll write the recipe down for this. It's really a good chili. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks.